Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Oh yeah, here I am. I lost track of time. I'm glad I looked up and saw it was 10 o'clock. Welcome to the program. Good to have you here. Good to be here for that matter. It is November. No, it's not. It's December 3rd, and it's a Tuesday. So my sister Suze should be in the building. Suze, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm in a building.
You're in, yeah, that's right. In a building. So
right.
It's good to be anywhere, I guess.
Well, not necessarily.
Well, I suppose that's true. There are some places that one would not want to be.
Yeah.
I see off the bat that Roger is asking a question of you.
Yes.
Question for Susan since she has grandchildren.
Yeah.
Here comes Roger's question. My wife and I were given this list from my daughter right before her wife and almost 2-year-old daughter's visit last week. Is this the new normal? I don't remember giving a list like Susan's going to be. Hang on, Suze. Hang on. Not done. I don't remember giving a list like this to my parents. Oh my God, the list!
Oh,
you want to hear it,
list?
Suze? What?
Share the list.
No kissing on lips or modeling kissing on lips.
Oh, yes.
What? In front of her. No PDAs, public displays of affection. What? Even between my wife and me.
Oh, I thought you couldn't kiss the baby on the kid on the lips.
No, what is this?
No
secrets or don't tell your mom anything. This includes food and sweets. No gifts that aren't vetted by us. No going to the bathroom together, showering, changing in front of her. No diaper changes. No sexual jokes or talk of anything sexual. Oh my God. No comments about. No comments.
They're nuts.
So Susan, this makes your
oh no. You just made me feel way better.
Okay, Roger. No comments about her looks or body. No licking her fingers or hands or getting her to do the same. No sharing utensils and drinks. No massages or inappropriate touching. No hugging unless you ask first. Roger, I would hit the ceiling. Susan, they're acting like they think you're.
Okay, so this is, how old is this child? This is the first kid?
2.
Oh, they've been at this for 2 years already, and they're still like, okay. Okay, well, this is a particularly bad case.
Oh my God!
But there are lots of things in there that I've heard. I mean, the list. I would take about 90% of it out of there. I mean, I don't know what they think you're going to be doing with your significant other, but you aren't going to be, having sex around your 2-year-old or exposing yourself. What is this crap about diapers? My husband, the psychoanalyst, used that against me as an excuse so that he didn't have to change his daughter's diaper. And I called him on it then. It was hooey. That's
what?
Hooey.
Oh, that could be considered this what? They're acting like you're pedophiles. They're acting like
they're
you don't
acting as if you didn't manage to raise a child yourself.
Yes, they're acting like, oh, this is offensive. I would be.
It is offensive.
I have to tell you, Roger.
And I'm not so sure that I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I'm not so sure that I wouldn't say there are several things on this list that I totally agree with. Most of this I consider to be so unnecessary to say to us as to be insulting, and the rest of it suggests to me that you two need help.
You know, they're saying that they don't want their daughter to see you and your wife displaying affection to each other.
Affection
What
for each
kind of
other? Do they
insane-
have
why?
a problem with a normal showing of affection?
What would that be? N-
Is it
no
is
licking
it
her
something about
fingers.
heterosexual showing
What is
of?
this? What? No licking her fingers? When have you ever licked Susan? Have you ever
I have never licked one of my grandchildren's fingers, nor would I want to.
Think of it.
Where have those fingers been? Absolutely
What?
not.
No sharing utensils and drinks. Oh God. No massages or inappropriate touching. And you can't hug
Why
your
is a massage, for example, an inappropriate touch?
Well, I guess it's sex. It could be sexual.
Well, it's not necessarily sexual. What if your 2-year-old falls down and hits their knee and you rub it? Is that inappropriate?
Probably. No hugging unless you ask first. I mean,
Well, I do that because I have at least one grandchild that really had a thing about that, and I decided that the fastest way to that one's heart was to stay back. And now I get, jumped at from a chair and full body hugs, that are initiated by her. So that's just under the common sense of how you would deal with any new person in your life and how relationships develop. And it's just, no, that list is off the wall.
Roger,
I'm not going to presume to tell you how to handle it, but those two are going to have a rude awakening at some point.
That is really, boy.
No, it's crazy. But you know what? Your choice at this point is probably to swallow it and go along with it until you laugh about it one day and say, wasn't it marvelous how we didn't kill you?
I'm sorry. I would have trouble.
The rules are very different these days. The rules are very different. I'm constantly running afoul of them. I'm in constant trouble because I just don't think of things. I was raised in the go out and play and eat dirt. It'll make you healthy.
Yes. And you know what? I even know that once, the last time I gave a gift to one of your grandchildren, and I kept asking you, has she seen it? Have they read that book to her? And you said, I have no idea. Again, it was like gifts go into some place where the parents control access
when they get them.
Yeah.
So that they aren't inundated. And when in the days before I became a grandmother, I fantasized about how much fun it would be to go shopping for my little grandchildren and just be able to splurge on whatever I wanted because now I could and then I couldn't, and by the time I got there, I came into this world of, no, we don't really want you giving gifts to the kids. We want them to love you just for you. We will give you a list of things that we need at the time that, occasions occur.
You know what?
And all it taught me to do was to not give anyone anything anymore because it was no fun.
You know what? This level of control that these parents now.
Well, now it's easier. I mean, I don't know what they want and I don't know what they have. So at this point, a list is totally appreciated.
But Susan, in general, good God.
Well, here's the thing. We have a sister-in-law, Kathy, who is the quintessential fairy godmother. I mean, she literally twinkles in front of small children. You can see it on their faces and in their eyes. And she magically shows up always with bundles of tons of
gifts.
Perfect stuff
for
every kid. Right. And the kids all adore her. And I'm always, and my kids let her do it. And I'm going, wait a minute. How come she gets to buy their love?
Because she's a fairy godmother. Yeah. Well, I just have to
It's
say,
just all I can say is it's a totally different style of parenting. They aren't my kids. I love them. They're turning out well, so
yeah,
I'm staying out of it. But
yeah,
even in my world, which I have considered to be pretty damn controlled, that list is off the wall.
yeah. Roger, that list is off the wall. He does say this, that his granddaughter and his her moms are gone now. He says, my wife and I were given this list from my daughter right before. Okay, and then he said,
Yeah.
I got a hug when they left Saturday for home in Brooklyn. Other than that, the only contact is when my granddaughter tackled me for fun, which she did completely of her own accord. She likes me a lot because I play with her. We only see them 3 to 4 times a year. But I can't imagine how awful to have to be on, sort of feel like you're walking around on eggs, being
No, it's
with your
not. It's
grandchildren.
unpleasant. It's unpleasant. I mean, I'm pretty good at it now. I've been one for a while, for 10 years now. So, and things have, as the kids get older, things get way easier. But no, it's the rules are, and then the pandemic happened and all hell broke loose. So now, no one's around a new baby, period. And touching or holding or kissing, no, and and that's sort of universal, and
Yeah.
that's pandemically inspired.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. But oh my God. Oh my God.
well, no, they're just. I mean, that just looks like a list created by people that are so terrified of sex and the normal demonstrations in daily life of such, that they're trying to protect a 2-year-old from it when it's everywhere.
And well, I am the word, I don't take it out much, but is gobsmacked by that list.
Well, the other thing is that one of the fondest memories that I have of our growing up was our delight in knowing how, in seeing how much our parents loved each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was physical and delightedly physical.
Right. Right.
Not in any ucky and inappropriate way, but in a way that's taught children that love was pleasure.
Yeah.
And that would seem to be a pretty important lesson to teach.
Oh, I want everything to get back to Margaret's writing. Being tender doesn't mean sex. Yeah, that is correct. God. Anyway, there's this article that I've been hanging on to for a long time, and now seems as good a time as any, given this list, to talk of it. And the headline of it was, parents should ignore their children more often.
You think?
Yeah.
How do they ever learn anything or solve anything?
I don't know. Well,
comfort themselves or learn any of those skills.
I know the parents today are so on top of the kids all the time, controlling every move, and that's why this guy said this, and Susan, you and I will, obviously like this, because this talks about, our more feral parenting that we had, which turned out fine.
Right, and which is not to say that you weren't paying attention or worrying about your children, but
right.
You were doing so and holding back so that they got to learn for themselves. You have to allow your children the room to fall flat on their faces.
A lot.
Your job is to be there if they need help getting up.
Yeah.
That's all.
It's my favorite line from a poem, I must learn by going where I have to go. A child has to, stumble around and learn the world and get burned and fall down. And it's anyway. So this guy says, for most of human history, people had lots of kids, and children hung out in intergenerational social groups in which they were not heavily supervised. They were just there, right? Your average benign neglect daycare is probably closer to the historical experience of childcare than that of a kid who spends the day alone with a doting parent.
No, it turns out that the people, especially in our culture, that keep their kids home, even from early daycare, are now handicapping their children because those kids are far more socialized and get along far better in terms of, being with community and having a sense of a little bit of independence.
The ones that are not kept home.
So yeah, I was so horrified when I watched my grandchildren go off to daycare at 3 months because both of their parents worked. I watched my granddaughter crying. I mean, my daughter-in-law crying at the thought that she was doing this. She cried for, a while. It was very hard on her to do it. And, but boy, I don't quibble with the way my kids turned out.
No. Anyway, this person says, human beings have spent about 90% of our collective time on Earth as hunter-gatherers. Okay, just putting humans in context here. And our brains and our bodies evolved and adapted to suit that lifestyle. Hunter-gatherer cultures tell us something important about how children learn. A parenting style that took its cue from those hunter-gatherers would insist that one of the best things parents can do for themselves and the children is to go about their lives and tote the children along. You might call it mindful underparenting. Children learn not only from direct instruction, but also from watching and modeling what other people around them do, whether it's foraging for berries, changing a tire, or unwinding with friends after a long day of work. From a young age, that kind of observation begins to equip children for adulthood. Now, I absolutely agree with that, right?
Yes.
Yes. If you want to raise empathetic, imaginative children who can figure out how to entertain themselves, don't keep their brains too occupied. God, I wish some of these parents today would hear that. An excellent way to bore children is to take them to an older relative's house and force them to listen to a long adult conversation about family members they don't know. Excursions to the post office or the bank can create valuable opportunities for boredom too. Leaving kids screens at home on such trips can deepen the tedium, and the tedium is useful. It also forces parents to build up their tolerance of their children's fussiness, an essential component of underparenting. Parents too often feel the need to engage their children in fun activities to tempt them from screens. But by teaching children to crave constant external stimulation and entertainment, intensive parenting can worsen screen dependence. In an ideal...
Right, you don't... No, wait a minute, but that's what... I mean, the proper parenting in that situation is simply to say no screens. Mm-hmm. It isn't for the parent to redirect the child.
Right. Just no screen.
So just no screens.
Right.
Which is, by the way, I'm amazed at because when, for example, my children say no screens, that pretty much means no screens for them too.
Okay. Well, you do have to model, right? You
You
can't say
have to
no
model. You
screens and
can't
then
say
be
I
on
can have a
screen.
screen, but you can't.
That's
You
right.
know, unless they're at work
Yeah.
in the home office, no
Yeah.
screens.
Yeah.
And they have found their lives are much better too because they're doing the stuff they used to do.
Yeah.
They're very active people.
Yeah. I've got a caller here, Suze. Let's let someone else in. Hello?
I don't know if this is letting someone else in, but I'll just say we walked on eggshells from Tuesday through Saturday.
It's Roger. It's
Hi,
Roger.
Roger. Roger, I got to tell you, me too.
Roger,
And
honest to Pete. Did you
as
at
sad
any
as it was,
did you or your wife at
it
any
was a
time upon having received this list tell them what you thought of it? Not.
no,
You were on eggshells.
because it would have just made it a worse situation.
No, you can't. That's the rules. It's their kid. I mean, you know.
Yeah. And sad to say, when they left Saturday morning, we were relieved. we had a constrained, wonderful visit.
No, I totally understand what you're saying. And it is all those things. It's not like you aren't just totally enjoying being with your grandchild and with your kids, but yeah, I'm coming as from someone I'm sure you can imagine how often I goof. And you know, and I have to like rest for a couple of weeks after a long bunch because I'm just, you know, I'm on eggshells and then I'm goofing regularly too and suffering the consequences.
This is just insane.
We're really laid back. I mean, and my wife and I, we love each other a lot, and we're not French kissing in front of anybody, but we do hold hands, we do hug, we kiss each other goodbye, and kiss each other in the morning when we see each other, and
that was off limits. That was off limits.
See, that I don't think they have any right to tell you.
Why in the name of
how
God?
You behave how you behave within appropriate standards in your own home towards each other. I think that's on your list as off limits.
Yeah.
Now, I don't see the bitter father-in-law, but I don't think this was generated by my daughter.
Yeah, no, my guess is it wasn't. That's what I was thinking, and I would and you know, I don't know.
I mean, you know, my daughter-in-law has had traumatic experiences in her past, so we try to be very understanding of that. But you know, what's ironic is because of my job, every year I have to get fingerprinted, and I have a Pennsylvania and federal background check. So I'm probably officially the most secure person out of all of us in the group.
Mm-hmm.
I know the licking fingers and sounded weird, but I think where that came from was when we went to visit them up in Toronto in July. We were in a nice restaurant, and you know, she was a year and a half old at the time, and my granddaughter was getting really antsy, really upset. You know, my wife walked around the restaurant to settle down, which worked because, you know, we have a little experience. I mean, God forbid anybody take our 62 years on this earth as anything as worthwhile to tap into. But, and then she's sitting down and she wasn't eating, but what my granddaughter was doing, instead of crying and making a big fuss, she insisted on feeding me her spaghetti. So I was eating her hand. So that is probably where that came from. It's not
also the most normal of that is a child showing love and sharing and mimicking what her parents do to her. That is the first normal kind of play that any kid will do.
Yeah, I mean, and then the one thing I didn't mention was, well, mentioned in the list was about food. They have a real thing about sugar, which I think on the surface is very understandable. I made, and I do this often, I make homemade banana bread, and it's supposed to be healthy. There's no sugar. I usually sweeten it with honey or maple syrup. 100% pure maple syrup. And it's and whole wheat flour, bananas, and that's pretty much it. My daughter-in-law was calling it a cookie and wouldn't let my granddaughter have it.
Oh God.
And she saw me eat a banana, and she wanted a banana, but she was not allowed to have a banana because do you know how much sugar is in a banana?
God.
Do they not know the difference between naturally occurring sugars and refined sugars?
They are both super smart. They're way smarter than me. They're way more educated than me. They're very intelligent women. And I'm like, look, I'm not giving her a candy bar. It's a banana. Plus, she had diarrhea all one day. I said, get her stopped up. Give her a banana. The brat diet. I didn't say it like that, but I was thinking that in my head.
Yeah.
And so just to give you an idea of where all this is, my granddaughter came down with her slippers on, or whatever, ballet slippers. I don't know what they were. They were on backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And I just noticed that, her slippers are on backwards. No, they're not.
Oh.
Yeah, they're backwards. No, they're not. And I'm like, okay. And I just backed off. And as my daughter was taking my granddaughter up to change her diaper, I looked at my daughter. I said, fucking shoes are on backwards. And that was the closest thing to being nasty I got. But I said it quietly, just so I think my daughter got the message. And I have to say, the thing is, my granddaughter, she loves me and my wife. We're fun. We're fun. And we were fun despite holding back.
Yeah.
So
the relationship will work out. And, eventually they're going to lose control and they're going to have to deal with the consequences of this stuff. But they can't shelter her. And the thought that they should keep her from seeing what a normal, loving relationship looks like is crazy. How else do children learn?
Yeah, totally crazy.
I want to thank you, Beth, for making me realize I'm not the crazy person.
You are not the crazy person, but you are also, this is also very important, you are not alone.
All right.
It seems to be universal. Sorry.
Yeah. Good God.
How are we going to survive this?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I need a drink now.
No. Well, thank you, Roger, for really giving me an entire half hour of the show that had nothing to do with all the things that, are upsetting anybody else. So thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Have a nice day, Beth.
Yeah.
No, he was scratching my crotch.
Well, that's true. Oh my God. You know what I look forward to is the little kid growing up and having children and payback, see how they like it on the other side.
Yeah, but this is all part of it. I mean, I know that the way I parented was partly because of and partly in reaction to the way I was parented.
Of course.
Yeah. So I'm sure that my children are doing the same thing. So, and I can see reactions and results of what I consider to be, my lesser good moments and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But, everybody's struggling, and they also have this whole community of advice givers that are, telling everybody what to do. And, a lot of it is this they call this gentle parenting, but I don't see what's gentle about any of it.
It's not gentle because it's just so all encompassing. It's just so God. I as an independent minded person who would like to be left alone a lot would go insane with parents like this. I'd want to be left alone.
I mean, creative children need time to to let
Be
their
alone.
imaginations go. And
Yeah.
and I'm going to just say that most children are creative children. And if you don't let their brains figure out how they want to go and where they want to go, you're not only going to, practically keep them from learning things, but you are keeping their brains from finding circuits, from creating pathways, from learning inside. That's how it works.
Yeah. Just keep taking them from this lesson to that lesson to this lesson to that lesson. Unbelievable. So anyway, back to that, parents should ignore their children more often. The last thing is, in an ideal world, we would set children loose to roam free outdoors, unsupervised. It seems now that that free range experience is not an option, but mindful underparenting is the next best thing. I agree.
I do too.
God, the sort of earnest, gruesome conscientiousness of these parents. I mean, I felt that way about, the parents even 30 years ago when I found myself, when my son was young and I
No,
encountered
and you and I were. I was always like
older.
not doing anything that all these
No,
other
and I
people
wasn't
were
either,
doing.
and I was a full generation older than most of the other parents, and I thought, what? Yeah, my kid was the only kid who walked to school by himself. I didn't even, I didn't set up play dates. I didn't do his homework for him. And I saw later that in some ways I harmed him in that because the schools encourage this over parenting and over involvement, it seems to me, too. I don't know. Sick of it. Anyway.
Well, you're done. It's okay.
I'm done.
And,
God. Dear Lord.
and grandchildren are wonderful.
Yeah.
And the good part is that, it really is not my responsibility, and therefore, I can tut tut in my head. I don't say anything. It's not my place.
Yeah. Oh man.
And as I see, things tend to, kids grow up, rules change, life changes.
Mm-hmm. Art says Jonathan Haidt has written a whole book on this. I'm sure there's plenty of books on this. God. Okay. So, well, that was nice. I'm glad because that was just something that, didn't have to
Yeah, I know. But that's two women that are trying very hard in their brains to do the right thing, and grandparents who want to just love their kid, and the fact that it all is so artificially difficult, is sort of, in my experience, universal. I don't know. I have so many. I have friends in Chicago, that they have problems with this one or with that one, and it's always the same thing. Where's this coming from? We raised you.
Yeah. Incredible.
And they're successful, functioning human beings.
I would argue nobody, I don't know, parenthood, my sense of parenthood, the only way I could deal with it is to pare it down to the simplest possible formula.
Keep them alive until they're on their
That's
own.
Right.
That was sort of my rule.
That was mine. Mine was make sure he feels safe and loved.
Yep.
And that was
period.
All. I thought that's my job, safe and loved. And then
that is your job.
Yeah, and then modeling behavior, seeing me modeling behavior, my reactions to things and stuff like that. I was not a parent who was into playing with my kid. My parents didn't play with me. Uh,
Well, you could have gone play. You could have played golf with Mother.
Not my idea of a good time. But anyway, so yeah, just I thought I'm loving him. I'm keeping him safe and providing stability and a good model in terms of I think character and morals and what else?
No, that's. I mean, that's sort of what I said in Arlie's bar mitzvah speech. That he had a lot of good models to look at, and that's the point. People that work hard and love what they do and love their family. I was trying to point out to him that it was all in his own family to look around and see all the lessons that needed to be learned, and that's the point.
Yeah.
That's how you parent.
Yeah. God.
And yeah, I don't know, it's maybe a little scarier for the kid, but or riskier for the kid even, but you've got to let loose enough that they learn on their own.
Yeah.
The way they learn.
Well, even with what we do with, you can, well, I suppose it's not the same, but, so we had playgrounds that, didn't have foamy bottoms and,
No, we broke wrists and legs and arms regularly. I don't have a problem with
making things safer, but they've made things crazy in some of these. I remember our brother just regaling me with stories of what was considered off limits in the Ann Arbor.
Oh right, they
schools.
couldn't have like anything that you could hang from lest you fall.
You couldn't play you couldn't play dodgeball, you couldn't play volleyball, you couldn't play anything. And in picking, they had tried to make it.
You couldn't pick teams.
Yeah,
right.
It was an environment in which they were trying to make sure that no child would be hurt physically, emotionally, in any way. And there was no fun. I remember Hank,
well, and the other thing about those playgrounds, when they made them safer, they used ground up old tires and stuff, as to, and that turns out to be completely toxic.
Yeah, right, great. And then I remember Hank telling me that the new big thing in gym class was cup stacking.
That sounds like good exercise.
What?
But it was dexterity.
Hell? Yeah, dexterity, I suppose. That was what they were doing because, gym, people get hurt. So the thing was cup stacking. It's when our brother became more. Remember when he flirted with
when he went from liberal to ultra conservative.
When he became a right winger for a while.
Yeah,
he was doing what a lot of voters did just recently. He was reacting to the left's craziness just by seeing it play out in his children's public schools.
Well, and Bill would argue that, unless someone say that, yeah, well, what is he? No one was going to bully him, or blah, 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 blah. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Our brother became, I think he still holds state records in long distance sprints. And he did that because he was, if he couldn't make his opponent laugh long enough not to kill him, then he had to run fast enough not to kill him. So,
well,
I mean, it's just a normal part of childhood. You haven't heard him tell that story, that was, he had two ways of surviving his teenage years at East High, and one was his sense of humor, and one was being fast.
To run when it didn't work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, everybody has to learn how to survive something.
So I've just
So
got.
what do you think about Biden pardoning Hunter?
I cheered when
I
I
was
heard
so
it.
relieved. I cheered. I can't
Yeah.
believe that anybody's even upset about it.
I am so pissed at all the Democrats that they're upset about it. Like,
Yeah, they should have said the same thing we said. Good for you.
Oh, I mean, people saying, why, it's an outrage. He is,
It makes the Democrats like, oh, bull.
Oh, here it is. Here's one from a Democrat. Joe Biden has now provided every Republican with a ready-made heat shield against any criticism about Trump's pardons. Biden is effectively neutral. And I'm thinking, what? I mean, you have this totally lawless administration. They don't need Biden doing something to give them license.
Give them permission to do whatever they damn want to do.
Now, it does take away, the one thing it does is they can now say, hey, look, you don't like what we're doing? He did it. But they had already accused him of doing it, of politicizing the Justice Department when it wasn't
everybody
true.
Does it. It's every president's prerogative, and people have had problems forever with what presidents have done. But it's their prerogative, and I thought if I had been Joe Biden in that situation, I wouldn't have. The only thing I wouldn't have done is not promise not to.
Yeah, but big deal. Okay, so
big deal. I don't care.
Glad.
Go think in that moment he wasn't going to do it, but in this moment, you bet I'm going to do it.
That's right. And I
would have thought less of him, by the way, just putting it out there. I would have thought less of him had he not.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Speaking as a parent who has the power to do that for their child.
Right.
All parents don't. He did, and in this case, absolutely. So there.
And Hunter Biden is hardly the egregious kind of pardonee that Trump has let off the hook. I mean, people who are truly dangerous people. And
Hunter's filling out a request for a firearm versus Jared Kushner's $2 billion worth of investment
with the Saudis.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
No one's looking into whether that was an appropriate thing.
No, it's, and here's where we see that our media, mainstream media, because I happened to have on the NBC Evening News last night, and the first story was this outrage at and like the first two stories were going to be that. I turned it off. I thought, you idiots, you fools. And they weren't, suggesting. I can't deal with it. Anyway, this, and Susan, somebody said, while Biden has a little bit of time left, he should go all out Trumpian. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And given that the Supreme Court has said that
he
can do no wrong, right? He can do no wrong, that he needs to just do everything he can possibly can, including, how about preemptive pardons for people who Kash Patel and these others have said they're going after.
Why not?
Like Liz Cheney, Liz Cheney,
yeah.
Or Kinzinger and the January 6th committee, and Milley, and do I think you can't you do a preemptive
I think
pardon?
So. I think isn't that what Ford basically did for Nixon?
I think so. So that's what you need to do, and he needs to do it. Get ahead of some of this retribution that they're planning. I would really.
Well, I only brought that up because I just wanted to check in with you to see if you were feeling how I was feeling.
Yeah.
I was going, wait a minute, what is all this blowback? Yeah. Of course he did.
Yeah. No, totally agree.
He just did it. I expected him to do it a little later, but that's fine. Do it now. That's good.
Yeah. Laura writes, there have always been different levels of justice in this country, always will be. It's like the scandal of paying to get stars kids in college. Ridiculous. It happens all the time. I don't know why people get so bent out of shape about those differences. Biden should certainly go all out. Well, I hope he does go all out. I really do. If, as all the Democrats are saying, he's tarnished his legacy, fine, tarnish it some more. Let history figure out if he did a good job or not.
Right. Right. I think, yeah, I agree.
So
what are they going to do? Not elect him again? Fire him?
Yeah,
Go for it.
Yeah, he's home free and clear. So this defense secretary guy, Hegseth, good God,
his own mother can't stand him.
Yeah, his own mother finds him appalling.
Who now is saying, "Oh, I shouldn't have written that properly." Probably, but
I apologize that
that I consider my son to be an abusive
woman.
son of a bitch.
He's an abuser of women. So here's
an
the
abuser
latest.
Of women, yeah.
The latest stuff on him is from the New Yorker. He was forced to leave previous leadership positions at two veterans advocacy groups. The first, he was let go because of what that group said were serious allegations of financial mismanagement, sexual impropriety, oh God, and personal, not sure what, personal that got cut off. And this was a group called Veterans for Freedom. And while Hegseth was head of that, pinching all the ladies' bottoms and putting money in his pocket, he ran up a huge debt for what appears to have been inappropriate expenses. The group's donors insisted he get fired, and then they shuttered the organization. He destroyed the organization. It was finished. Then he moved on to something called Concerned Veterans for America. And a whistleblower, shortly after he was there at Concerned Veterans for America, said that he was repeatedly so drunk at events that he had to be carried out, and that he once tried to join dancers on stage at a strip club to which he had brought his work team. The report said that Hegseth and other members of his team divided the female staffers in the organization into party girls and not party girls and sexually pursued them. Just one thing after the other. When they finally got him out of there, the new person who came in said, among the staff, the disgust for Pete was pretty high. His history of alcohol abuse, and he had treated the organization's funds like they were a personal expense account.
Well, he's going to have a lot of money at his fingertips.
Incredible. And it's why he was at that last Concerned Veterans group that, and he was a Fox News contributor, that he supposedly assaulted this woman at a Republican conference. And not to mention all his, screwing around on his wife, impregnating other women while married. Just vile man. Vile man. Incredible. And we're not even at Kash Patel. He's so off the charts.
Jeez.
Yeah. Here's what Beschloss said about the Biden pardon. Just want to get this in. Michael Beschloss, the historian who has some sense of. Let me find it. Here. Joe Biden is president of the United States. He's also a father who genuinely loves his son. On Sunday, he decided enough is enough and used his pardon power to protect him. Biden said, "I believe in the justice system, but as I have wrestled with this, I also believe raw politics has infected this process and it led to a miscarriage of justice." Beschloss goes on to say the subsequent hand-wringing, the screaming and shouting by both pundits and elected officials has been intense. And the basic theme is, how dare he exploit his power and give his son special treatment after he said he wouldn't pardon him. The New York Times ran 4 stories about the decision on its front page. And it's not just Republicans, of course. It's Democratic senators. An improper use of power, it erodes trust in our government, emboldens others to bend justice to suit their interests. And how can people, I just have to say, how can a Democrat say with a straight face that somehow Biden doing this emboldens who? Donald Trump?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a long list of lawlessness that predates anything that Biden has done.
I know. They didn't need
No, it just aggravates me. It just aggravates me, and they just can't seem to understand that you can't compare alternative universes to each other. You know, they just keep thinking that they'll discuss Biden as and what he does on the same level as Trump and what he does, and it's not.
Yeah, no, not. Just not.
I don't know.
Okay.
There's clearly nothing we're going to do about it, you know, because I think the media thinks it's trying, but I don't.
They don't
know why they can't get right. Yeah,
they don't know what to do because they've been schooled in a certain way of coverage, which, you know, this both sidesism and supposedly not, and it doesn't work in a situation where liars and lawbreakers take over. It doesn't.
Well, and
work.
where only one side respects any rule.
That's right.
There is no rule that, I mean, the side that doesn't respect rules insists on rules for the other side.
Yes.
With the understanding that no such rule applies to them.
Exactly.
And for some reason, we're all going along with it.
Well, we're not, but the media is, in large part.
Yeah, I don't.
So, yeah, a little unsettling. One of the things I just want to get to that I think is, I'm hoping will happen, and as some of you may know, the Democrats have to have some work to do, and one of the people in a position to do work is whoever heads the Democratic National Committee. And that position is up. The guy who's currently in it doesn't want it anymore. And so the party will be deciding who's going to have that job. Now, a lot of people whose names you know have already said they're interested. There's already apparently people who have votes. There is one guy who I've talked about before who I think would be a great pick, and I was thrilled to see that Robert Reich has said the same. And he is somebody well known in Wisconsin because he has in fact Winkler, right?
Yeah, Ben Winkler.
Winkler, I think.
Mm-hmm.
This is a young guy. He started working like as a research assistant to Al Franken. He's a young guy, and he's the one who did something nobody thought was possible. After the Republicans had taken that progressive state of Wisconsin and turned it into this unbelievable right-wing state. You recall a governor named Scott. What was his name?
Walker.
Scott Walker. Who they took over everything. They had a complete hold on every part of the government there. And they gerrymandered the heck out of Wisconsin to ensure that they would continue to keep their power. And this guy came in, and he has carefully dismantled what the Republicans did. And if you look at what he did in this last election, even though Wisconsin went to Trump, he still managed that there were 4 congressional districts that went to the Democrats, and the Democratic incumbent, unlike our Senator Casey, won. Tammy Baldwin won and outperformed Harris. So Reich says Democrats picked up 4 congressional seats in Wisconsin. They held on to their Senate seat. They broke the GOP supermajority in the state Senate. They picked up 10 seats in the state assembly and are on track to flip both chambers in 2 years and potentially get a trifecta if they win the governor's race too. So this is all under this guy, Ben Winkler, who's just sort of remade the Democratic Party. And the first thing he did was go after that Supreme Court seat that was won.
Yeah, that we retook by a huge margin, which was the catalyst for everything that followed.
So he's now saying, I'm in and I want to head the DNC.
But I can do it, is what he's saying. You see, I can do it.
I can do it. And he says, this is from Winkler, he says, the Democratic Party is best served by leadership that's been fighting on the front lines in one of the most contested states in the country and has demonstrated an ability to build an operation that has shattered expectations. We need to do this nationally now. We win when voters know that we're the ones fighting for them. And he just gets it. He's younger. He gets it.
Yeah, I think he'd be wonderful. I do. I hope he gets it.
He's 43 years old, and I'm just praying that somehow people will see that what he has done is certainly worth trying on the national level. Let us hope. Okay, Suze, I think that's.
Did we do it?
Pretty much.
Thanks, Roger. Thanks for the help.
Yeah, thanks, Roger, because things are pretty grim, to say the least.
Yeah.
But somehow we'll get through this. I can't imagine.
It's a beautiful day. I'm going to focus on that.
Yeah,
I'm going to have a nice day with our mother. I'm going to focus on that.
Okay, good.
Okay.
You do that, and
okay. I'll be thinking of you.
Yeah. I'm going to have a nice day. What? Hey, our team is in the trivia championships tonight.
Cool.
Just saying. I don't think we're going to win, but I'm going to show up there.
We're good for something, our useless heads.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Suze, thank you.
Okay.
And
all right, bye.
Goodbye. And thank you all for staying here with us. I appreciate it. And I'll be back tomorrow, I think.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.